Hello and welcome to another Explorer video. Today we're checking out the blue-red version of Lotus Field combo, which has been added to the format thanks to some of the recent additions from Pioneer Masters, as well as Foundations adding Expedition Map to the format. So our key card is a Lotus Field, a land with hexproof that enters tapped, can tap it for 3 mana of any one color, but when we play it we have to sacrifice 2 lands. So we usually play Lotus Field on turn 3 in this deck, sacking our 2 other lands, and then ideally we can copy a Lotus Field using Thespian Stage afterwards. This time we don't have to sacrifice any lands, just pay 2 mana, tap the stage, and turn it into a copy of Lotus Field, so it can also tap for 3 mana. And then to increase the consistency of this deck, we're also playing the full set of Expedition Map, which we can play for 1 mana, sack for 2, and then search our library for any land card, reveal it, and put it into our hand. So that can find our initial Lotus Field, or if we already have it, find a Thespian Stage, and potentially even get our Otawara if we need some interaction to bounce opposing things back. And then once we have, let's say, double Lotus Field in play, that's where the combo becomes much easier to accomplish, thanks to all these untap effects, which can untap up to 2 target permanents in the case of Hidden Strings for just 1 and a blue. And then we can untap our double Lotus Field, essentially netting us 4 mana. And then there's Pore Over the Pages, which does the same in addition to drawing 3 and discarding a card. So we both get to untap 2 lands, which will net us 1 mana, assuming no discounts, and then we'll also cycle through the deck to find additional untap effects. And then the Vizier of Tumbling Sands can be cycled for 1 and a blue, so that also nets us a mana with Lotus Field, and can occasionally cast it as well, in which case we can also untap Lotus Field to make 3 mana for us. And then while we're kind of cycling through the deck with all these untap effects, ideally we're also drawing and discarding with Artist's Talent whenever we cast a non-creature spell. Can also level up the talent for 3 mana, in which case non-creature spells get a 1 mana discount. So now if we cast a Hidden Strings with a leveled up talent, it costs us 1 mana, untap double Lotus Field, so that's plus 5 mana now, and then a plus 2 mana with a Pore Over the Pages as well. And then while we're drawing through the deck, we've got additional cantrips like Consider and Sleight of Hand, which can also trigger our Artist's Talent. And then eventually we're hoping to find a Leer, Disciple of the Drowned, giving all the instants and sorceries in our graveyard flashback, so we can easily get back Hidden Strings and Pore Over the Pages, making even more mana, drawing even more cards. And then our eventual win condition is to cast a Wish, getting us a card out of the sideboard that we can cast, and then with an empty library we can win the game with Thassa's Oracle. So it's pretty convoluted, but once you see it in action it'll make a lot more sense. And then rounding out the deck we have Into the Floodmaw as a bit of interaction, bouncing opposing non-land permanents back, and then as we mentioned, a few cantrips with Consider and Sleight of Hand, which we can also play initially to kind of find the missing combo pieces. And then a Bond of Insight can also be a way to get back multiple Hidden Strings or Pore Over the Pages from the graveyard, or find maybe a Wish in case your opponent, let's say, had a discard spell to take it away. Then Bond of Insight is still a way to access Wish, and then in turn get Thassa's Oracle out of the sideboard. So that's why we prefer playing Wish as opposed to just playing Thassa's Oracle in the main deck, since there's more ways to recur our instants and sorceries, including with a Leer giving our instants and sorceries flashback. And then a Dig Through Time is also great, since we're also playing lots of cantrips and sacrificing 2 lands to Lotus Field, which also makes it easier to delve Dig Through Time, so we can cast it for just double blue and find whatever we're missing. And then I think that covers most of the main deck. We've got a bunch of blue-red dual lands as well, so we can fix our colors, and then Otawara can also be grabbed by Expedition Map. And then the sideboard is mostly getting Thassa's Oracle, but occasionally, let's say you're up against a control deck, then maybe you want to wish for a negate first, and then you can maybe get back Wish to get your Thassa's Oracle with a negate backup. You could also maybe wish for more wishes, which is a pretty fun thing to do, so you have more copies of Wish in circulation. Maybe you need a sweeper against a creature deck, and that'll buy you enough time with an Anger of the Gods. Got a bit of removal with Fiery Impulse, and then another Leer in case the first one gets answered. And then a Filter Out can also bounce multiple non-creature non-land permanents back, so that can also buy us more time. But usually the deck can combo off successfully once we have double Lotus Field and enough untap effects and card draw to go alongside it. So yeah, that's our deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the play. This hand's not great. We're missing Lotus Field, no Artist's Talent, no way to access the Lotus Field, so take a mulligan. This one seems better. We have a field, couple card draw effects. Do have to get rid of one card. Might have to keep Into the Floodmaw as a bit of interaction, and then maybe keep Hidden Strings over Vizier. And then we'll need to find a land that's not Lotus Field, as we won't be able to play it next turn. And we found it. Alright, so I can consider again. Although there's no... I guess there's Sleight of Hand we could still draw into. Alright, found a talent, so definitely keep that. So our opponent an Abzan deck. And a Witherbloom command, so might be a Greasefang Parhelion deck. Okay, so this turn play talent and Lotus Fields. Now the command, I believe, can also destroy our talent. Non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. So hopefully they don't have more of those in hand. It's going to be a Liliana. Could be problematic. Could also bounce it with Floodmaw. But for now, I'll hang on to the Hidden Strings. And then we could level up Artist's talents. Opponents discarded a land last turn. Yeah, I mean, it might be just a level up talents. And then opponent's going to plus, we discard a land, and then end of turn bounce Liliana, so we don't have to worry about the ultimate for a while. But we need to find additional card draw. And I want to wait until end of turn to bounce Liliana, so they can't recast it. There's Greasefang, but they don't have a vehicle to go with it, so it's just a 4-3. So I think Liliana's actually the bigger concern. And then do I discard Hidden Strings? I mean, it's not doing much good for me right now. If I draw Pour over the pages, I can still cast it thanks to the discount from talent. So that would be a better draw. Bond of Insight's not bad either. So we'll start there. And then sure, discard land. Find a Floodmaw. And we found a couple Pour over the pages. If I grab Hidden Strings, then untap 2 lands I could still Pour afterwards. But I think we're just going to be greedy and grab double Pour. Could also go for a dig through time, actually. Like 1 Pour, 1 dig, and then discard Floodmaw if they plus Liliana once again. And then dig is likely to find us... I mean, at this point we're looking for Leer and more Pour of the pages. So Pour might just be the better card overall. Alright, so we'll pass. And there's Liliana again. Alright, so our opponent does now have a Chariot in the graveyard. But I don't think I bother bouncing Greasefang since I want to keep double Pour in hand, and Liliana's gonna plus. So, just gonna have to let that go.
I'm tired of your secrets.
And then we're not dead to Greasefang bringing back a Chariot. So Pour is basically free with the discount and with Lotus Fields. And another talent I'll have to pass up on for now. So we can discard it. Can also maybe still hit a land drop. But a Lotus Field is not a useful one, since we pretty much have to win this turn. So, can Pour again. This time discarding a Steam Vent, since Vizier is just better. And a Lotus Field can go once again. Make some blue mana, cycle, untap. Make some more blue mana. Could wait to maybe find a Thespian stage before playing another land out. And then now dig through time, exiling lands and creatures. And now Spire Bluff is better than Steam Vents. Found the Thespian stage. And then dig through time finds probably Hidden Strings. And probably another Vizier. Or I could go for a Consider, since that also triggers the talent at least. And then can play another talent. So if I play Thespian stage, I can activate and then still have a mana left for Hidden Strings. So it now generates more mana for us. So now our lands can go. Expedition map is free, but I would rather go digging with a sleight of hand. And then we're trying to find Lear. Take another sleight of hand for now. Alright, found a Pour Over the Pages, so that's nice. And we've got our wish to get Thassa's Oracle. And there's Lear. Alright, so do we have it on lock here? Play Lear. And then with Hidden Strings we should have it. So yeah, definitely a solitaire turn. But we eventually got there. Although, I suppose we could now also discard Wish since we can just flash it back. And then make some more mana. 13 cards remain. Can pour. At least the card draw of Artist Talent is optional. It's hard to keep track of what's our hand and what's in our graveyard. So, can now wish. And then 6 cards remain. So cast another Pour. And then we'll have enough devotion for Oracle to win the game here. Even if they have like a fatal push to destroy it. Alright, so now play our card from outside the game. Could also wish for more wishes technically. And there we have it. Alright, sweet, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play with a promising hand. We have Lotus Fields, Artist's Talent. Ideally we can keep Thespian Stage as a land drop after we play Lotus Field. And then probably fine to consider to maybe find another land here. Opponent's blue-white, so if this is control, We could be in for an interesting matchup. And I'll keep the steam vents. And another stage. I think I still would rather get more Lotus Fields going. So I'll still take 2 damage. Portable Hole, that's too bad, so that'll exile our enchantment. So I suppose this could also be more of a Leyline Axe Colossus deck with a bunch more artifacts. Although it's hard to say from this position. So we would like to find another talent, which we did. Still gonna play Lotus Fields. And then next turn we can play Thespian Stage to copy it as well. Yeah, especially in the face of open mana. We may as well play it slow. Opponent's gonna deduce. Possible I should stage now before opponent can find a way to interact. Although there's not too many ways that they would be able to mess us up. Maybe a way to counter activated and triggered abilities. Or I guess if they played Field of Ruin, they could have responded to the activation. And we'll consider. Otawara, a way to bounce Portable Hole. And it's also an extra land drop, so it's not bad. Although finding another Pour Over the Pages could be more important. So I think we still get rid of it. Hidden Strings is good too. Alright, so another stage. I'll maybe activate this now. And let me tap this for blue manually, just in case. So we now have triple Lotus Field. And yeah, could play the talents. I think we wait for the opponent to maybe tap out more. For now, Sleight of Hand. Expedition Map. Doesn't seem all that exciting. Floodmaw gets back Artist Talent end of turn, so that's decent. So I can pass, and then maybe next turn we can try and go for it. After bouncing the Portable Hole end of turn. We certainly have ways to generate additional mana. But yeah, opponent's happy to just sit here. So with 5 mana, they'll probably have at least 2 counter spells available. So we'll need to take that into account as well while we're comboing off. But we'll start here. If our opponent tries to counter unless we pay 3, I could also cycle Vizier and then pay 3. But it's going to be an Absorb instead. So our opponent's down to just 2 mana. Not enough to cast a Dovin's Veto or a No More Lies either, so they might be quite limited in what they can do. For now, get the talent down. That resolves. And we could immediately start with Pour Over the Pages. Could also level up the talent first. Sure. Although there's, I guess, a window where if they have a Get Lost for my enchantments, that would be bad. Although I could still then Vizier, untap a land and keep going. So, yeah, interesting spot. I guess I maybe wait to level up. See if they have a response. And yeah, they had the Get Lost. So at least we didn't waste any mana. And then maybe it's time to discard a Hidden Strings, since mana doesn't seem to be the concern, but card draw is. Alright, can get our talent back once again. And we found Lear, so that's excellent. And then we could now discard a land since we'll probably find more. Alright, so I'm pretty sure we can figure out a way to win here while our opponent's tapped out as well. So, step 1, bounce Portable Hole. Now we can level up. Make some blue mana. Now timing out could certainly be a concern. Alright, luckily for us, our opponent scoops it up. So yeah, assuming we don't time out here, we would be able to untap 2 lands, and then we've got another Pour, we can play a Lear, which also gets back our Hidden Strings, which untaps Lotus Field once again, and then we should have enough card draw here where we can draw the rest of our deck, especially with a talent, and then at some point to wish for Thassa's Oracle. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have our Artist's Talent, one of the more important cards. No real way to access Lotus Field yet, but I'm willing to give this a try. And then, might be fine to consider turn 1, even though we could keep it until after we play the talent, but turn 3 I'm maybe just gonna level it up instead, and we might need to find some interaction. Skirk Prospector, so some sort of Goblins deck. And yeah, there's Lotus Field, so we'll keep that. Play the talent. And then next turn, if I play a Lotus Field floating 2 mana, I could already Hidden Strings, untap the Lotus Field, but that doesn't get us super far. And Sear Slicer Goblin. So, yeah, pretty good with a Prospector especially. So this turn, it's probably going to be consider, see what we find, and then play the Lotus Fields. The second one's going to be pretty tricky to get in play, so I don't think we need to keep it. And then a Bond of Insights. Could be good to have in the graveyard to eventually get back with Lear. And find another Hidden Strings. Alright, so can potentially cast them next turn. So yeah, let's say we level up the talent. Then I can play 1 mana strings, untapping field and a land. Have 4 mana, Hidden Strings again, then play a Lear, and then keep going. Opponent now with a Battle Cry, which they can activate thanks to the Prospector. So yeah, I don't think we necessarily have the luxury of passing the turn, because then we're just dead. So we have to make something happen. Found the wish. Okay, so we'll stick to the plan here. Level up. Hidden Strings. Discarding Lotus Fields. Make some blue mana. Hidden Strings again. Play a Lear. And then start with the Hidden Strings. And we want to find Pour Over the Pages. So make more mana. And then could also Bond of Insight. Since we get to Hidden Strings again, which is plus 3 mana. Yeah, this will dig the deepest. And then I guess we could also get back the Hidden Strings. Can discard Wish and then flash it back later. Alright, found Pour Over the Pages. And our opponent's gonna scoop it up. Yeah, that's probably enough to win the game from here, as we'll get to keep making more mana with Leer flashback our cards once again. And then once we draw enough cards, we'll find our Thassa's Oracle to win the game with flashed back Wish. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have Expedition Map to get a Lotus Fields. Couple ways to untap, so not exciting, but functional. And I'll probably play it this way in case we draw talents I maybe want to cast on turn 2. And we can activate Expedition Map at instant speed. Opponent's green-white, maybe Angel Life Gain. That would be a reasonable matchup, I think. If it's auras, then they might have a bit more interaction in the form of Sheltered by Ghosts. If this is a Thalia, we're in trouble. Alright, it is Bishop of Wings, so Angel Life Gain confirmed. So I guess I still have Skyclave Apparition potentially as a form of interaction to exile our enchantments. But otherwise, not the fastest clock known to man. And yeah, certainly not a deck with a ton of interaction. So could play Lotus Field, cycle, untap, but then we're not really doing anything afterwards. Unless I were to maybe top deck an Artist's Talent. Could also consider actually casting the Vizier next turn, if we think it'll survive for a while. Yeah, I don't hate that idea. And then if they use Skyclave to exile it, they're not exiling an Artist's Talent later. So for now, Valkyrie. I mean, this is a good start for the life gain deck. Bishop into Valkyrie can very quickly gain a lot of life. But I'm not opposed to just casting the Vizier. Channeling Odawara, probably not going to happen. Can still sleight of hand, maybe find a different land. Another Vizier versus Expedition Map to get our Thespian Stage might be worth it. So I could play and activate now. I think I still cast Vizier. Since that's potentially plus 3 mana next turn. And another Valkyrie. Alright, so I guess our opponent does have a 2-turn clock here. Keeps the bishop back for some reason. So, let's see if we can fully combo off. So, step 1, get a second Lotus Field in play, which we can accomplish by copying a Thespian Stage. Play it. Activate it. And then we can still Hidden Strings. I suppose keeping Bishop back makes it so we can't possibly cipher Hidden Strings and untap even more stuff. So maybe that was part of the reasoning. Either way, we can keep going. We also have Floodmoth for a bit of interaction. We can pour. And don't need Power Bluff anymore. So we're still looking for an Artist's Talent to really keep things going. Can maybe dig to try and find it. Can cast it for just double blue. And leaving Pour Over the Pages in the graveyard. I'll take a Leer as well if we can find it. So Talent and I want to say Pour Over the Pages. So I can Pour first. Or we could Hidden Strings, play Talent, maybe level up. I don't think the order really matters too much. And actually should not be ciphering to leave Hidden Strings in the graveyard for Lear. So that's a small misstep. Alright, so if I level up, I can still pour. Could keep Floodmaw in case we somehow don't get there, but I'm pretty confident that we can fully combo off. Especially now with 2 more pours. So just looking for Lear, and eventually a Wish. Can make some red mana. Cycle Viziers, +1 mana. And might be time to dig through time once again. Have a pretty full graveyard. Lands and creatures can go. And find Vizier Hidden Strings. And this time I'm not gonna cipher. Oops. I did accidentally decline the untap trigger from Hidden Strings, thinking it was the cipher trigger. So there are a lot of buttons to click. It is easy to misclick. But I think we'll be fine. Decline to cipher. How many cards do we have left? 19. So we can bond. Get some pour over the pages back. And there's Lear, so that will make it even easier. 8 cards left, so could easily win without Lear 2 here. Can wish. And I want to do the thing where I wish for more wishes, just because it's a thing we can do. But our opponent's gonna concede before I get the chance, but yeah, they were super dead here. Awesome, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We do not have a Lotus Field or a way to find it, so this hand feels pretty poor. This is better. And then map could be a way to get our Thespian's stage. So I think I still like to keep that around. Our opponent on the red-green aggro. Alright, so we don't need to worry too much about interaction, but more about our opponents killing us very quickly. So we won't have much time to set up. So at this point, looking for a pour over the pages. More ways to untap Lotus Fields and draw cards. So yeah, this turn I'm thinking we just sack the map for stage, play Lotus Fields, because it's going to be a lot easier to win with double Lotus Field than a single one. Future copies of Expedition Map could maybe also get Otawara if we need a bounce spell. Another Kumano. So we may not get another turn here. A fourth Kumano with a full playset. Taking another 6 at least. And a Monstrous Rage. Alright, I think we're just dead. Don't see myself winning from this position with our current hand at least. So, best I can do for now is cycle a Vizier. And then we basically need a miracle. Into the Floodmaw. Is not going to be able to bounce enough stuff here. Maybe if we had it sooner to bounce their creature with Monstrous Rage. But, yeah, we're kind of dead here. If I play stage and make it into a Lotus Field, I'll have 2 mana left. Does that do enough for me? If we level up Talent, I don't think we can cast a Dig afterwards and we'll probably be tapped out. What if we just dig through time now? I don't think I can afford to. I might just need to get lucky and draw into like a Hidden Strings off into the Floodmaw. Or we can play another Talent. Making sure to leave blue mana untapped. And then I need a Hidden Strings pretty much. Bond of Insight is not going to do it. And now I won't have enough blue mana to keep going. So we should just be dead. I guess I could draw into a blue land and a Hidden Strings. In which case Thespian Stage has to go. And that's a pour. So yeah, we're just super dead now. And a Sleight of Hand. Alright. Yeah, just a little bit too much pressure too quickly from the red deck. If we had an extra turn to set up, then we get Thespian Stage to copy Lotus Fields, and then we might be able to get deep enough to cast or pour over the pages, untap 2 lands, and then it's a lot easier to keep going. But yeah, a deck like this seems pretty well set up to take out the Lotus Field combo deck before it gets to set up entirely. On to the next one. Okay, we're on the play. We have a hand that's just missing Lotus Fields. I think I'll still try it. And probably still okay to play a Sleight of Hand on 1 as opposed to waiting to trigger the Talent, but I'll take another one. Not guaranteed to cast both, but seems better than another land. Opponent is on a red deck. At least Floodmaw's decent in the face of our opponent playing some pump spells. Although I would still prefer tapping out for the Talent here, I think. And then next turn we could maybe consider Floodmaw and look for Lotus Fields. So black sometimes for Fatal Push, to hardcast Sellsword, or for discard spells, although those are usually in the sideboard. Opponent's already going for it. Infuriates. Attack. Hit you for 5. And pass a turn. Don't think we can afford to tap out once again. So maybe main phase the Consider. And then probably get rid of the Talent, since I need some interaction, and then the untap effects seem important for the eventual combo. Could also take a bit of a risk by discarding the lands, but then if I don't hit a land drop for a turn, that would be bad. And I probably need to keep up Floodmaw at instant speed. Alright, found the Lotus Field. Although now we have a tough decision to make. Do we play the Lotus Field and are tapped out, or do we just bounce the hero without getting much value by not 2-for-1ing the opponents? I actually don't hate keeping another Floodmaw and then waiting a turn on Lotus Fields. Just playing this tapped and passing, keeping our life total high. Alright, they've got another threat this turn. Do we see a pump spell? If we don't, I'll just take it. Infuriate. Anything else? Opponent wants to go to damage. Now we can bounce. And then what to get rid of is an interesting question. Might be the hidden strings now, since Floodmaw is almost like a time walk in this spot. Opponent replays a hero. And a Thespian stage. Alright, so things are slowly coming together. So won't be able to level up the talents if I want to keep up into the Floodmaw, which seems important. So it's just going to be Lotus Fields. And then pass. And then next turn we can maybe copy Lotus Field with stage. So yeah, forcing us to keep up Floodmaw is kind of putting us in some awkward spots. No blocks, opponent wants to go to damage. Yeah, I guess we'll just bounce the Nemesis then. Discard Otawara. So it feels like they're out of pump spells in hand. They might still have a Sellsword. So we could still dive the top deck pump spell and then Sellsword as well. But now we're on Thespian stage, and then... yeah, I guess if I activate, there's 2 mana left afterwards. So not enough to level up the talent. But I would be able to sleight of hand and then technically still draw into another into the Floodmaw. Although it's difficult to turn down a dig through time. So what's my plan for next turn? Ideally level up talent before casting Pour, so we can cast it for 4 mana, so that still works. Then we'll have 6 mana afterwards, cast a dig through time for 2 mana, have 4 left to cast more Pours. So I think we just decline. Although I could die next turn, as we've said. In which case finding a bounce spell would be better, but I think we decline, and then Leer should be great. So, pretty confident that we can win the game next turn. Let's see if we'll get there. So Nemesis, attack, that's just 5, and then Sellsword is +3. Alright, we get to untap. So, gonna stick to the plan. I'll level up. Cast Pour. And can probably draw into more lands here. Discard Lotus Field, don't need that one. And then for 1 mana they shouldn't have removal for Leer, so I could already cast it, which gives me access to hidden strings. Or we can Pour again. And then 1 dig through time can go. Alright, so we should easily have it. Just a matter of not timing out and not misclicking. Dig through time, exiling a lands and maybe some creatures. Finding another pour. I guess I'll take an untapped land. And there's our wish. 27 cards remain. Hidden strings. Don't think mana is going to be a limiting factor. I'll cycle these before playing Lear, because once we play Lear, the interface is going to be a little bit more difficult to navigate. So the longer we can wait, the better. Alright, our opponent has seen enough with 15 blue mana floating and a bunch of cards in hand. And yeah. So this blue-red version of Lotus Field combo seems very powerful and quite consistent as well. We can easily find our Lotus Field thanks to Expedition map now too. And then ideally have 2 copies of Lotus Field before comboing, but it is still possible to win with a single one as well, as we've been able to showcase. Now, of course, the deck does run into some limitations when you're playing this on Arena, because you can potentially time out, especially in the early turns when you don't have a timer saved up. So that's a very real concern. We've been somewhat fortunate that our opponents have been conceding before necessarily being dead on board, but that's also a challenge you'll have to overcome when playing a combo deck like this, and learning how to sequence optimally in terms of saving as much time as possible and saving as many clicks as possible is also going to be important. Probably not a deck I would play on mobile, since the interface is going to be near impossible to navigate once you play Lear especially. So yeah, again, a deck that will require a bit of practice to get good at it and prevent timing out. So it may not be the most fun deck to face for the opponents, since it's kind of a non-deterministic combo kill once the deck starts going off. But hopefully after seeing this video, you'll have a better idea how to face it, and you'll have a better understanding of when it's maybe appropriate to concede if the opponent has accumulated enough cards and additional mana. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's gameplay. Want to thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.